Did you say what kind of animal it was that attacked her?
So yeah, they're saying it's some type of animal attack. Statistically, there's been more animal attacks, mysterious deaths, people gone missing.
In other news, local authorities remain perplexed by the animal attacks.
What attacked you in the woods?
An animal. What else could it have been?
Welcome to It Was an Animal Attack, your home of the supernatural drama series. I'm Sandile.
And I'm Fadzai.
And we're here for our first official episode of Season 2. You've probably seen it in the title. We're here to talk about the one, the only, the huntress herself, Allison Argent.
Yeah. The whole week I've had to stop myself from saying Hargreaves.
And another great Allison. Always in the zeitgeist for me.
It also has an R sound in it. It's like Hargreaves, Argent. My brain just keeps going, Allison Hargreaves. And I'm like, no, that's not her.
Not her. Different vibe. Well, overbearing father, family business, you know.
A different insane show. That steadily declined.
As it turns out, overly hated by a portion of the audience. News to me.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the first I've heard of this.
Have I not told you this? Yeah, there's people who do not like Allison, which was news to me.
Is it because of the season 3 thing? Or had they just always...
Oh, I meant Allison Argent. They don't like Allison Hargreaves, but that was more obvious. That's because, like, racism, misogynoir.
People don't like Allison Argent?
Yeah.
Oh,
we're having a discovery moment here.
Now I was immersed in Vampire Diaries fan spaces. I've not been immersed in Teen Wolf spaces, so a lot of stuff is going to be news to me. I'm now disappointed because I was always very proud of the writers and the actor for creating the character of Kira Yukimura, because I was like, Kira, you, at least my understanding, which I've now realized is clearly incorrect, I was like, Kira, you managed to do something which is very hard to do, to be the new love interest after the old love interest that relationship has ended, and not be hated by the audience simply for existing. Because obviously a lot of writers want to be like, I don't want to create someone who's a carbon copy of your previous love interest and just slot them in. I want to create a love interest that is different, that seems like a different person, and see how that works with you as a character in your relationships.
Yeah.
But usually the audience is like, no, you're not like her or him, and you'll never be, and we hate you. And
I don't want to do the thing where you're talking about people as if they're a monolithic group, so I can't speak to which portion of the audience likes Kira and which portion doesn't like Allison and assume they're the same group. To be like, well, it makes sense they like Kira because she's not Allison. But I don't know. Like unlike you, I was not immersed in any of these fandoms when I was watching these shows. This is stuff I learned as an adult looking back and being like, we really live amongst others. But not to start out the gate with negativity, Allison Argent, played by Crystal Reed, a really fun and interesting and compelling character to me in Teen Wolf, especially as we always talk about as a female character in this genre and in this era. Allison is a big win for me.
Such a lovely journey. There's a comparison that comes to mind of another fictional character I like, but I'm going to save it for when you get there.
Okay.
I'm just holding it in my mind.
Fair enough. Keep a pin in that. But Allison is, of course, one of the main characters of the show, at least for 3 seasons, which is a shame, but, you know, that's how them breaks break. Is that the expression?
I've never heard of
Those
an
are the
expression
breaks?
about breaking breaks.
Them's the breaks. That's the expression.
Cut the break.
She is, of course, a member of the Argent family, which you learn in the show is a renowned family of werewolf hunters tracking back to medieval France. Not a typical origin place for these sorts of stories. I always found that fun, that they were like, let's give the Frenchies a bone.
It is linked to the real life myth of the beast of Gévaudan.
La Bête du Gévaudan.
La Bête. And also, Argent is an anglicized form of the French word for silver, which is, of course, a famous werewolf weakness.
And the Latin argentum, which you probably saw on your periodic table if you looked at it. But yeah, she is also, of course, the primary love interest of the show's lead, Scott McCall, which is fun. I remember really liking their romance. Like you said, with Kira coming in, I remember really liking both the romances phases
Yeah.
that Scott has during the show.
I'd actually forgotten how much I liked it. Like watching it back, I was like, you were actually really cute together, and you guys had amazing chemistry as performers. Like, well done for that.
Yeah.
Like super, super sweet.
It's very adorable.
And also going back to those like the early Allison, boy does she feel like the love interest of a show about somebody else. Like considering where she ends up, and I mean she gets there pretty quickly, I will say.
Yes.
But it's like, yeah, in the beginning she really does feel like, and I'm the Mary Jane of the Spider-Man story.
And what are you up to, Tiger? And it's like, all right, guys, let's get to her arc, please.
No shade to Mary Jane.
But she does
love my fictional thespian queen.
Yes, of course. But they do lay a lot of groundwork in that first season that makes it like, okay, here's how she's gonna like really kick into the story. I was surprised by how early on they start like planting the seeds. Mm-hmm. But of course, Allison, as I said, is in the show for 3 seasons because Crystal Reed, I remember, was a little bit older than some of the other actors. I think at the time of her departure, she was 29.
I'm not sure.
No, because hold on, I gotta look this up. I just remember that like she was a little bit older than the others by like 5 or 6 years, and she was still playing a teenager, and it was like, well, maybe I want to do some other roles and like expand my career as an actor. 85, 95. Yeah, she was 25 at the time of the show starting, and so she was like 28 at the time of her departure.
Is that why they went out of their way to be like, Allison is a year older than everyone else because she's moved around a lot?
Yes.
And had to repeat a grade.
Yes. I believe that was part of it. A big deal to her. She's like, I don't like my birthday because I'm a year older than everybody because I got held behind because I moved around so much. Which is interesting. Mm-hmm. Allison, it's interesting. To speak about her character for a bit, because she comes in, of course, at the beginning of the show, the Argent family moves to town. Her dad deals weapons and arms to local law enforcement, and that's what they've been doing, moving around the country doing, which is the craziest cover story I've ever heard in my life. Is that how it works in America? You get like privatized dealers who go around selling to like county sheriff departments? Feels insane.
I'm like, is that legal? Do we? I mean, they have a massive house, so I could believe that the lie is like, yes, we run a business, and it's like, okay, but
it's like, how do you standardize something like that? Why wouldn't the government be the thing doing that? If these are, gosh, America's weird, man. America has a problem. But so obviously she comes in with a bit of a chip on her shoulder regarding all the moving around, but she has this very like cool without being cool energy. She's very bubbly, she's very charming, even though like when we meet her, you see she does have a lot of insecurity about like not fitting in necessarily, but like not standing out, I guess is the way to put it. And a thing about Allison, especially early on, and I find this so interesting given, again, the genre that we're in, is that she really wishes she wasn't like other girls, but she very much is like other girls. She's like aware of it. I just think of the scene
I cried like a total girl.
And Scott's like, you are a girl.
Yeah, but I cried like a girly girl, and I'm not a girly girl.
And it's like, what? You hit a dog. I think you can sob, queen. I think it's okay. Shame, it's so sweet. She has this conflict with like her femininity, and you can start to like thread together as you learn more about her that it comes from this upbringing that she's had, where she like was in a lot of sports and in a lot of hobbies. She's picked up a lot of like very weird skills because of who her parents are and who her family is, even though she didn't know. She's great at archery. She did gymnastics. She can like, I don't know, whittle and metalwork and like all this stuff. And it's like, I guess I can understand growing up with that and then like not really having that strong feminine vibe. Because I would not call her mom or her aunt feminine, but they are very intense and commandeering figures. Mm-hmm. So there's not really a lot of softness in the Argent family.
I mean, indeed, Kate's first scene, her aunt that we see, she gets attacked, immediately grabs a gun and shoots at the roof of her car to try and get whatever it is, then gets out of the car, sees her assailant has disappeared, and she says, come on! Fires a warning shot in the air, and she's like, come on! Cocks the gun.
She's so sick. She's so sick. She's awful, but she's so sick. Canonical pedophile, right? Can we get that out of the way since we're gonna talk about Kate? Is that canonical or is that fat?
We'll deal with that in a Kate episode. Because looking
Stay
back,
tuned for that, I guess.
looking back, I was like, you going on about Scott's beautiful brown eyes. I was like, I need an adult.
Day one. Yeah, that's Allison pretty much in a nutshell before you get to all the good stuff. But as to where she like fits into the show archetypically, right? Because Teen Wolf, again, the supernatural show, by a certain point, every character who's like in the main cast is something, you know? Except for usually there's a token human left behind. Well, not left behind. You don't need to be supernatural to be part of the fray, as shown by Styles Stilinski. But in a world of like werewolves primarily, and then of course later we get Lydia who becomes a banshee. Then there's like were-coyotes and like kitsunes, Lausenschlangers or whatever that lion dude was called. I can't remember. I almost called her Artemis, which is it's not crazy. It's thematically related.
The other archer.
Right. Allison being a hunter. They do seem, hunters in this world seem to be somewhat prevalent, even though we don't see all that many in the show itself. The only others I could think of were, like, chronologically, it's like, it's all the people who work with the Argent family, because I can't imagine they're all Argents. It seems like they have goons. It's Brayden, who technically is like an ex-US Marshal who just becomes like embroiled in this werewolf stuff, but I would count her archetypically as like one of the hunters. And then it's the Calaveras, who are the only other family I think that comes up in terms of like groups of hunters. And then I guess you can count a few people from the Deadpool season, but I don't want to.
I mean, those people, those are, yeah, I guess, yeah. I don't know if they're hunters in the sense of like, oh, we have like a code and it's our job to whatever. Those are just mercenaries who are, they're actually assassins. Those are assassins.
Right. Exactly. Mr. Garrotwire, Mr. Mute.
Those teenagers called the orphans.
What a weird season. So the benefit of that is that because the Argents are easily the most central group of hunters, of the main characters of the show, Allison is the only hunter. So she's like the foremost when it comes to that archetype. A very iconic image of her in the show is her with her bow and arrow, which is atypical of the Argents. The Argents use guns. That's why they have the cover story that they sell firearms to law enforcement. It's because they use guns with silver bullets. They use explosives. They use tripwires. They use all this like mechanical industrial stuff. Whereas Allison, I think pretty much exclusively throughout the show, uses like a compound bow. And then I think at one point it's important that she uses a recurve bow because it has more power or whatever. I don't know a lot about archery. And then she'll use like a set of knives or whatever. But she's always with that bow and arrow, like quintessential hunter. And I think that's very cool and interesting. And it makes it more impressive that she's contending with supernatural forces without an automatic weapon, you know?
She's the Jeremy of the group, I guess, but with no like supernatural like strength and all that stuff.
Yeah, she's season 3 Jeremy cutting a hybrid's head off with a hatchet. She's cool as hell. I guess getting into some of Allison's relationships throughout the show. There's her family, of course, which we've been mentioning a little bit. There's Chris Argent, her dad, and oh Lord, I meant to put down her mother's name because I can never remember it. I love that character so much.
Victoria
Argent. She has a beautiful haircut. She has severe features that make her look so scary. It's beautiful.
Yes. I had to look it up, and when I saw it was Victoria, I was like, Victoria!
Victoria!
Our beloved Riley. Poor Riley.
Oh, man. When I tore him into nothing.
She visibly vibrates with rage.
Bryce Dallas Howard, you'll always be famous in my house. But yes, Chris Argent, her dad, and Victoria Argent, her mom. Her mom we don't see as often early on. Her dad is very much the primary point of contact, and he's this very overprotective, very intense, but overall like loving father.
And he's played by J.R. Bourne.
Right, of course. J.R. Bourne, my apologies.
The Hunter Isaac from The Secret Circle.
He just came up in Secret Circle. The Rolodex spins.
He faked his death in Chance Harbor and went back to his family. He was like, I'm done with witches. I'm going to go back to fighting shapeshifters.
Let's stick to the good shit, man. I don't want to venture into other stuff. Funny enough, like technically, witches and vampires do not appear in this world, which is fascinating. I guess one could argue the druids and the Daraks are the witches of this world, but even then it's like tenuous.
Vampires, it was a very intentional thing that they left vampires out, because obviously we were in the era of the Twilight craze, and the whole vampires versus werewolves thing was a very hot topic. They were doing it in the Vampire Diaries as well. Jeff Davis and co, they were like, no, we have no intention to introduce vampires. There's a lot of other supernatural stuff we can use. We don't want to use vampires. And I was like, okay,
do what you need to do. But yeah, there's a lot of clashing between her and her dad early on, because of course she's getting older. Like, she's kind of sick of the lifestyle they've been leaving, and she's just old enough to like start pushing back against it, which is not great for him because of the secret that he's keeping. And then her aunt Kate comes to town, who, because the Argents have this particular code and they have this particular way of doing things, Kate very much skirts that code as much as possible. And so she starts pushing some buttons when it comes to Allison, pushing past like Chris's jurisdiction as the parent to be like, I'm going to start laying some groundwork for her to come into the business a bit more quickly. I'm going to give her the silver pendant that has the symbol of our family dating back to France. I'm going to mention La Bête du Gévaudan for her history project.
She literally says, come mama, let's research.
Yes.
She's like, do your own research. I'm not telling you.
Kate presents herself as this very older sisterly figure, even though she's the aunt. And I think that's in itself a little bit sinister, in a way that you don't read it as overtly sinister the way you see Gerard when he comes in later. But Kate, like, in her own way, starts to groom Allison a little bit because of the closeness of their bond.
And Allison describes her as such when she tells Scott about her. She's like, oh, my Aunt Kate is here, but she's like, she's my dad's sister, but she's more like my sister. And I was like,
interesting. I don't think that should be true, but go on. And then, of course, Gerard, who comes in season 2, who very directly starts like grooming her and manipulating her after some traumatic stuff that we'll get into in a bit, and starts pushing her like headlong into the hunter stuff, like to the hardcore end of the spectrum, in a way that starts to like frighten her father. So that makes for an interesting second season. Her friends, I say friends here, but I include Scott, who is love interest. Like you said, very, very lovely romance going on like almost immediately in the first season. I find it interesting that like she vibes with Scott, because I guess it is a bit that like teen drama thing where it's like Scott is meant to be this nerd who, you know, can't play sports and has asthma and like, oh, he's so lame. But then it's like you cast Tyler Posey because of course he needs to be hot.
Tyler Posey with his adorable face and his swimmer's build.
Bless him, he's so sweet. But that's something I like about Scott on rewatch, is just how sweet and good-natured he is. Bless his heart. But yeah, it's like she meets him and he like starts saving this dog that she knocked with a car and like reassures everything's fine. He's very kind to her when she's like coming into this new high school environment, and he's got like an underdog quality about him that she very much gravitates to, and it's very lovely the way they start up and the way they quickly. It's interesting because at different times during that first season, during their relationship, like the one who's kind of pressing the foot on the gear, it's a different one of the two of them each time, which I guess lends to a bit more balance in terms of their relationship, so that's nice.
And much like Stefan and Elena, they get together really quickly. Like it's like very quickly, it's like, oh, okay, this is the thing. We don't spend a lot of, unlike some people, Cassie and Adam, we don't spend forever getting to it. And I understand Adam is in a relationship when the show starts, but my gosh,
you know, extenuating circumstances. Some people don't take 15 episodes to get into a relationship. But yeah, once they're like blossomed into a proper relationship, they're like ride or die, man. Their relationship, their bond, and it faces so many tribulations and lasts through almost all of them. And even when, unfortunately and ultimately, they do part ways, they still remain in each other's orbit. It's very sweet. It's very lovely. There is, of course, Lydia, who is the one other girl for like a solid 3 seasons in this group. But the first person to be like, hey, new girl, I'm going to teach you how things work around here.
She sees her and she's
but
like,
in a very nice way.
You're pretty and well-dressed. I immediately welcome you into my clique. She's a good-natured Regina George. She's like,
yes.
Okay, this is a big deal because we almost never do this, but we'd like you to sit with us at lunch.
And the us is just her, Jackson, and occasionally Danny.
and some unnamed extras who sometimes get lines.
I love when they just circle around at this 8-seat table to be like, yeah, there's a full group here. What are their names? Who are? Their friendship is interesting because it's just like, why would these two ever be friends? It's purely just because Lydia said, we are friends now. And Allison was like, all right. And then they just kept on going. And then over time, it starts to become this kind of like cute, girly thing.
She's moved around a lot, so maybe she was like, beggars can't be choosers.
You know?
I'm at a new school, and someone has opened her arms to me and been like, hey, let's hang. She doesn't immediately dive in, because when she first meets Lydia, Jackson sidles up to them and is like, hey, I can also see that you're cool. We're having a party, you should come. And she's like, oh, Friday is actually family night. And later on, she tells Scott, no, that was a lie. I just didn't feel like going to this party.
I didn't want to hang out with those people. So funny. Scott pulling us, so what's in Jacksonville? Speaking of the devil himself, Jackson, who just sucks so bad in the first season. Oh my god, I couldn't stand him.
If Colton Haynes had stuck around, maybe it would have been like a Tyler Lockwood transformation. He just didn't get the chance.
For sure. It's that he had to leave the show. That like, I think the like season 2 finale was definitely a turn they were hoping to like build on later onwards. But you know, he had Arrow to do, and certainly that was probably paying more. Yeah, Jackson is a weird one for Allison because his relation to her is almost exclusively dependent on other characters. He's like tangentially focused on her early on because Lydia is befriending her, and so she's now around. And then it's because he has this hard-on for Scott that occasionally he'll like be fighting with Allison or like just menacing her or like mad dogging her, being like your little boyfriend. And it's like, whoa, what does that have to do with her? That whole bowling episode, Jesus Christ.
I like that she wasn't that archetype of the love interest who is nice, but is friends with the popular kids and is somehow oblivious to how they're bullying the lead character.
Yes.
Like when Lydia and Jax are like, tee-hee-hee, Scott is bad at bowling. She's like, okay, guys, lay off. Like, leave him alone. Please just like stop. Like, let him concentrate.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, you a real one, Allison.
Right. I will not be swayed by these fools. And then after Jackson starts having his first strange transformation and he starts getting all gray and sickly, and he goes to Allison being like, hey, I really want us to be friends. I'm sorry I've been a jerk all this time. It's like, whoa. And for whatever, I do appreciate that she's weirded out by it at first, but then gives him the benefit of the doubt because she's a good person. And they strangely become like friends for like the back half of season 1, just as Jackson and Lydia are like barely an item anymore, which is a whole other thing. And it's also in a period where she's briefly broken up with Scott because he has just skirted the truth or lied one too many times for her to continue trusting him. I think after that, I don't think I would ever call Allison and Jackson friends, because it's just, he's just really all the way over there in terms of this group. He really is only attached to the rest of them through Lydia, who continues to date him through to season 2. Against all odds. Styles? I struggled to like gauge what the Allison Styles dynamic is. I think in season 3 they interact a bit more, but they're kind of giving Idiot Squad. Have I described to you what Idiot Squad is?
No, what is that?
It's when two relatively smart characters end up paired together in a narrative and are much dumber for it.
Oh.
The minute they are on a mission together, it's absolute nonsense and hijinks, because I don't know what happens with the energy overlapping. But other than that, I couldn't really like chart like a journey for them. I guess being on either side of Scott, you know, sometimes you just have a mutual friend.
Yeah, sometimes it's two people who is like, you wouldn't be friends if it weren't for like the other people in the group who are stringing you together. And that's okay. That's fine.
And that's fine. Then chronologically, the next one would be Isaac, who's an interesting sort of dark horse in the mix when it comes to Allison.
I almost said Isaac Leahy. That's not his surname. That is a black man from How to Get Away with Murder.
Wait, what is his name then?
I actually have forgotten. What is Isaac's surname?
I think it's Isaac Leahy.
What?
I think he's Isaac Leahy in Teen Wolf.
Oh, okay. Then maybe the black man from How to Get Away with Murder is something else, Leahy. Let me see. How
Nate.
Nate.
The guy from How to Get Away with Murder you're thinking of is Nate Leahy.
Nate Leahy. Sorry. All Leahys look alike to me. I'm so sorry to any Leahys I may have offended.
Black, bald, muscular Isaac. Where's that timeline?
I hear a surname and I can't tell the difference. I thought Bonnie Bennett and Claire Bennett were the same person.
So, Isaac comes in season 2, I believe.
Yeah.
And they don't interact as much as people. I think he comes in, funny enough, in an era where Allison is like hardcore hunter.
Yes.
And so I think she like stabs him up real bad at some point. And then only later in season 3 do they kind of reckon with that. But because she is helping save some of his pack mates, because Isaac gets turned into a werewolf and becomes one of Derek's wolves, Allison does something to help their pack, and then it's like kind of squared up. But it's only in season 3B, if I remember properly, that they start to vibe more romantically speaking. Because at that point, her and Scott have broken up and Isaac is around and they end up on missions together. I remember the one time they're like messing with one of the twins, Ethan and Aiden's bikes, and then like running through the school hallway with it. Because at that point they were just antagonizing the Alpha Pack because I guess there was no other way to like deal with them. But yeah, that's when their romance starts to kick up and, you know, it causes some trouble with Isaac and Scott, who are becoming fast friends. I remember it being like more physical at first, and then suddenly it became a bit more serious and it was like, ooh, we're in uncharted water here. And then it only starts to feel the most serious right as she's about to leave the show. Yeah. Which I always thought was a shame for the Allison heads.
That was a shame, because I think they even become like physically intimate at a time when like some weird possession mind stuff was going on. And there's a specific scene where he has to ask her like awkwardly, was like, so like when that happened, were you? And she's like, I was. And I'm like, how though? How was she her? I'm not seeing how that's possible. But if you say so, Jeff Davis.
I promise I didn't have the fly in my skull. Oh, what a weird time. And then it's Malia. Kira would be first. Kira then comes in 3B, and it's exactly the thing you described, where it's like Kira comes in as the new girl in town and also a new love interest for Scott, which would naturally cause some friction you'd expect in the story between old love interest and new love interest. And if I remember properly, they just immediately like nip that in the bud, right? Like there's one episode where the two of them get paired together and they vibe immediately, and then that's it.
See what happens when gay men are in charge.
Jeff Davis, you did your big one at that one. I remember Kira and Malia being a bit more of like a tough one because of Malia's general vibe. But then even they have that like dance party at the beginning of season 4 or season 5 at that point. I can't remember. And they immediately shake it out. They're like, we're just girls dancing. We're doing the Buffy dance, I'm sure. I can't think of anyone else who would be relevant to Allison particularly.
Any of the grown-ups, like Sheriff Stilinski or Nurse McCall?
Yeah, I mean, they are grown-ups in her life. It's her boyfriend's mom and her friend's dad. Occasionally they'll interact because of Supernatural. Oh, I guess enemies for a little bit, Derek.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Allison doesn't really hate a lot of people, but for a hot second there, Derek was number 1 on the hit list. For real. And ooh, what a tough time for everyone involved. I think that's also part of the reason why some people in the fandom do not like Allison, is because of that arc where she was just gunning to kill Derek Hill.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, guys, the story being told. There's a story being told here. There's a reason this is happening. Like, can you walk with it a little bit? I don't know.
Regarding her relationship with Scott, I really liked, and it's not something that I often see in these kinds of stories, but I like that it was like, we've got this story about this supernatural individual, and then their love interest is also going through their own sort of changes, because like, oh, like Scott is the titular teen wolf, our little metaphor for growing up and pubescence and all that. But then Allison is also like, she's on the other side of it, where it's like, she's the hunter of the thing that he is, and she's like discovering her heritage and also going through her own changes and stuff. And their eventual, though brief, rivalry reminded me a lot of one of my favorite children's TV shows, American Dragon, in which the lead character is a boy who, through his lineage, is able to shapeshift into a dragon, and he's like this magical protector of this clandestine mystical community in New York. And his love interest, unbeknownst to either of them, his love interest is, well, she doesn't know about him, he doesn't know about her at first. His love interest is a girl at his school named Rose, who is secretly part of a group called the Hunts Clan, who use like high-tech weaponry to hunt and presumably kill magical creatures. Unfortunately, the show was forced to wrap itself up in season 2, so we don't get to delve too deeply into why the Hunts Clan believe they're the good guys. As far as a children's show is willing to go with it, like the Hunts Clan are like, yeah, they're the evil antagonists, but you can infer that they obviously aren't like mustache-twirling villains. They think that no, magical creatures are dangerous, and we do need to hunt and capture and kill them because we believe we are right. It's like, but they never really get into why they're right. And at a certain point in the show, Jake, the lead, learns that Rose, he calls her Hunts Girl. He learns that she is Hunts Girl, this girl that he's like had these tussles with in their alter egos. And he's like, oh my gosh, my crush is secretly my arch enemy. Oh no. And for a while, he doesn't tell her that he knows. And then eventually there's an episode toward the end of the first season where she, spoilers for anyone who wants to watch American Dragon, I guess. This mid-2000s show from Disney Channel. But she gets the drop on him and she's about to execute him, because the thing about the Hunts Clan is dragons are like, I guess, the main enemy of them, because dragons are like historically the magical protectors of the supernatural community. And in the Hunts Clan, you are seemingly born into it and raised, but the only way to graduate to like a fully fledged member is to slay a dragon. So that's like sort of her arc in season 1, that she's like constantly tussling with Jake, and she's like, when I kill you, I'll become a fully fledged member of the Hunts Clan. So eventually she does get the drop on him, and she's like, I'm gonna kill you. And then he's like, wait, no, Rose, it's me, Jake. And she's like, oh, my crush and almost boyfriend? And she's like, okay, well, I guess I can't kill you. And she runs away. And then the next day at school, he's like, okay, I'm going to confront her and we'll talk this out. And it turns out she has transferred and disappeared.
Right. Of course, she's compromised.
And going into season 2, she has now had to like examine herself and be like, okay, well, I guess everything I knew was wrong, because I know Jake and I know he's not dangerous and I know he's not a bad person. It's unfortunate that a lot of that happens off screen and is sort of inferred, and it would have been nice if they could have had time to explore maybe, okay, so Rose clearly had to like, she had to become woke. Why wasn't she already woke? What is it that you're actually raised in this cult, for lack of a better word, that has made you just assume that all these magical creatures are like deadly things? And just the whole Argent clan thing in Teen Wolf reminded me of that, because Allison very much and her father do go through this journey where they're both like, well, I guess everything I thought I knew was wrong, because now I've actually gotten to know some of these supernaturals, and it's like, well, you're not inherently evil, I guess. I've now realized that maybe there is room for nuance, and maybe I was wrong.
Maybe I will eat the humble pie. Maybe the dogmatic way of life that I lived was not the most nuanced and didn't leave room for change.
It also doesn't hurt that Chris and Allison are related to two of the biggest hypocrites of this hunting culture.
It really was set up so well for them that it's like, damn, that person next to me is really a lot worse at this shit than I am. Like, maybe I need to reflect. But I guess sort of diving in a little deeper to Allison's time over the show, because in season 1 she comes to town. They've just moved from San Francisco, I believe, which she says is the place she spent the longest amount of time, other than the amount of time she will spend in Beacon Hills. Like we said, she meets Scott because she knocks a dog and he works at the vet, and so he helps.
They technically first meet in class because he's using his super hearing
they do.
to eavesdrop on her outside as she speaks to what seems to be the youngest principal I've ever seen. I was like, this man looks the same as the people in the show playing teenagers. I was like, sir, are you a TA? What's going on?
Honestly, most of the teaching professionals at the school are fairly young. The chemistry teacher, the fabled chemistry teacher who's been here from day 1 is relatively young. So is the guidance counselor we meet in season 2. And then I forget economics teacher is coach. There's the black lady who teaches something, but she was there at open day.
Oh,
for
yes,
some
the
reason.
parent teacher night. Yes. Seeing that chemistry teacher and being like, this is the final boss, guy.
This is the final boss, people. If you haven't seen the Teen Wolf movie, for better or worse, no, for better, you are better off not seeing that movie. God damn.
But
Anyway.
Allison is on the phone with her mom, being like, "Oh no, I forgot my pen. I can't believe I forgot my pen." And Scott is like, "Oh my gosh, I have super hearing. I can hear through the closed window into the courtyard outside where this girl is sitting." So when she then comes into class and this super young teacher or principal is like, "Guys, we have a new student, Allison Argent." She sits down behind Scott, and Scott just turns around and hands her a pen.
just
she's
hands
like,
her.
"Oh, thank you." And I was like, aren't you wondering how he knew you needed that?
No, just a nice boy who thought I needed a pen when I came to class. I think that's honestly what sold her on him. She was like, so nice, unprompted. And then it's the dog incident where she's like, I'm sorry, I'm crying like a girl. I don't want to be like girls. And Scott's like, you are a girl. It's chill. Don't worry. In the vet, we all fam. And after that, they hit it off. Of course, there's Lydia and Jackson who try to bring her into the cool clique. And then as she and Scott start to develop as a relationship, Scott and Styles start ending up more central in terms of the happenings in the social circles at school. Also because Scott is going through his own transformation, becoming a werewolf. He now plays for the lacrosse team. They are just becoming cooler by proxy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, a lot of the early on stuff is her stuff with Scott and her sort of being either unaware of the werewolf stuff he's got going on while she's just like, oh, cute boy, and things are developing and it's going very well. But then on the family front, we learned fairly early that her dad is a hunter.
Oh yeah, it's like end of episode. It's the stinger of episode 1.
Exactly. It's just like straight
in
up.
the woods,
Argents are hunters.
shooting at Scott and Derek. And then at the end of the episode, when Allison's like, okay, tee Scott, I'm the love interest now. I'm going to flounce off. My dad's here to pick me up. And he's like, okay, bye. And then her dad, for some reason, gets out of the car to let her into the passenger seat as if she's not like an able-bodied 17-year-old who can walk into the car by herself.
Yep.
She's not a toddler.
It's exactly the sort of energy that she's sick of. She's just like, what are you doing?
And then he turns and like waves at Scott in a move that I guess in universe is meant to be like, yeah, I'm the protective dad. I'm watching you. And Scott is like, oh my God, it's the hunter from the woods. Oh shit, that's her dad.
So it's a lot of that in relation to her family of like Scott coming over, dad being mad about it, trying to assert dominance, Allison completely cutting under that and being like, you're being so weird, please stop. And then, of course, Kate comes by, which is around about like episode 4 or 5 or something like that. And she becomes a sort of a counterbalancing force to Chris, wanting to give her more leeway, wanting to bring her into the fold. There's that really intense scene where she gets Scott to come join them for family dinner while he's trying to like leave.
Oh, yes.
And they all sit around the table. It's Allison, her parents, it's Kate, and it's Scott. And it's so awkward.
And obviously Kate is the cool young uncle. So she's like, no, he's a sweet boy. Leave him alone. Stop interrogating him. And then Chris Argent is like, do you want anything, Scott? A drink? How about some whiskey? And it's like, you think this teenage boy is going to ask you for alcohol as he sits at your family dinner table courting your daughter?
I do love, though, that later in that conversation, to like break some awkward tension, Scott says, how about that drink, Mr. Archer? It's so funny.
Okay, Loki. He walked so
God.
Loki could run. It's all the same to you. I'll have that drink now.
It's funny, that's that same episode that like you see the relationship has developed quickly enough in terms of like how she feels about Scott. I think at this point they had just gone on like a walkabout and like abandoned school, and it's like starting to get a little bit more heated, and Scott is there to like steal something from Kate because Derek has been poisoned by a rare form of wolfsbane, so they need the bullet that got him,
yes,
which I think is in Kate's stuff. And so he does that, and then Kate notices a bag is open. But by the end of that very intense conversation where it seems like Kate's gonna do something to Scott for stealing from her, Allison's like, I was going through your bags, and pulls out a condom. And it's like, oh, okay. Okay.
Which
I love too that the backing like tension, the like ominous strings immediately stop just before she says it.
and it's which insanely is actually set up by Lydia earlier that episode because Allison is like, Scott's coming over to study, and Lydia's like, well, you guys are gonna do more than study, probably. Make sure he covers up. And she's like, what? And she's like, tell him to get a condom. And then Allison's like, oh, we're not gonna do that. We've been on one date, girl. And Lydia's like, okay, a little Miss Snow White,
Okay.
little innocent flower. And I guess then off screen, coincidentally, after Scott has finished rummaging through Kate's bag, Allison's like, let me go through my aunt's bag and steal a condom from her.
Which, it's insane that, like, I guess there's a lot of maths that has to go on where it's like, I'm not going to check my parents' room, even though it's less weird for me to go into their room than Kate's room. Because I guess I assume they won't have a condom, which, you know, live your lives, Argent parents. But, like, assuming that Kate would have one is really interesting to me.
She's like my cool young aunt who's a bachelorette.
Yeah.
You know, she's probably
You
got a
know?
condom in there just in case. She's on the road sometimes. She has flings. I'm
like,
sure she'll have
alright.
one.
Obviously, as the werewolf stuff in the season starts to get more complicated for Scott, because there's Derek, who is at different times during the season like a wanted felon or just like a pariah in the community, and everybody thinks he's done something shady at some point during the season, and Scott has to be like, I don't know him really. Actually, he's my friend. Actually, he's not my friend. Actually, I've never spoken to him. Actually, Derek killed those people at the school, because there's the episode where they're all trapped at the school because this mountain lion or something is running around killing people, and they all get trapped inside. And that's about the point in the season where Allison's like, I know you're lying to me about something, and you refuse to tell me, so I can't continue to be in a relationship with you because I can't trust you. And they split up.
When he's like, I'll call you. And she's like, no, Scott, don't call me.
Oh.
I was like, oh no.
Please don't call me. And then after that, when he gives her, because like he goes through this whole arc where he has to accept that they're not on a break, they're broken up. He then sends her some pictures that he took of them together, and she starts crying and leaves the classroom. And she's like, oh, are you trying to hurt me? Are you trying to make me feel bad for breaking up with you? He's like, no, I thought you might like them. She's like, stop, please stop this. Please let me get all right with the idea of just being friends. I'm not there yet. It's just like, yeah, Scott, I guess you're a dumb teenage boy, but goddamn, like, how did you think this was gonna go?
As we've realized doing this podcast, teenage boys are dumb. It's okay, teenage girls are dumb as well, but teenage boys are dumb in a very specific
teenage boys
way.
is so
And it's like, it's the Matt Donovan thing of, yeah, I'm on a date with my insecure girlfriend who doesn't like the fact that my ex-girlfriend is like double dating right now with us and her perfect new man. Let me just make a reference to how we used to make out in our car and had plenty of space. Like, Matt, why would you say that? Why would you say that?
Oh, gosh. But on the back of a number of things, just like her starting to feel like there is something weird going on with her family, because there's some stuff about Kate's arrival that's a bit shady. Her dad said, oh, I have to go fetch her in the middle of the night. She had a flat tire. But Kate said something different was wrong with the car. And then she finds like broken glass on the side of the car. And it's like, what the hell's going on here? Then
it really is Kate's arrival that starts to make her realize something shady is afoot.
It's her dad seeming to be like a lot more aware of the weird happenings that happen in town, like the constant animal attacks, roll credits, the attack at the school, which they're starting to consider might be a serial killer. Because Scott suggests it's Derek who's killed the like janitor and the bus driver and all these people. But all of that and that feeling of like helplessness that she has after that incident, she starts getting back into some of her old haunts. She starts like training again. She starts doing archery again because she's just like, I don't want to feel helpless anymore. I think there's a scene with Kate where Kate teaches her how to use a taser gun, and she tases a like baby bear that she had when she was a kid, and it gets her so emotional and she starts crying, and Kate's like, well, damn bitch, you're the one who wanted to do this shit. Come on, toughen up. It's like, give her a second. She's getting there.
I like that the archery thing is already established as a skill she had when she was younger. It's not like something she picks up and suddenly becomes an expert at, which is often what happens when a character goes through like a badass arc. It's like, I trained for a bit and now I'm immediately like at the level of...
No, she's like, there's a fun moment while she's dating Scott where she pulls out the bow. She's telling him all these hobbies that she used to do when she moved around to like keep busy, and she points the bow at him and he's like, whoa.
He's like, is that safe? And she's like, it's not dangerous if there's no arrow.
at some point in season 1, Kate just breaks the dam on the matter and is like, hey girl, werewolves exist. And we, the Argents, hunt werewolves. We have hunted them for centuries. That was what this La Bête du Gévaudan nonsense was about. That was what I was telling you about your ancestor, Argent. They do refer to her ancestor as a man, interestingly. But I know later on in the show, much later on, they will talk about Marion.
Yes.
Marion?
That story that we see flashbacks to, is that the beast of Gévaudan from legend?
Yes.
Okay, I guess it's a soft retcon because that character is explicitly not an Argent. They say in the epilogue of her story that she then married a man whose surname was Argent, and that's how their family got that surname.
And history remembered the man as the hero. That makes a lot of sense. Actually, it works perfectly because, of course, that family would remember. This is the thing that's going to come up about the Argent family because as she gets brought into the fold, they talk about the women in the Argent family being the matriarchs and the leaders. And I'm like, I don't think that's true.
They were like, our society has a very progressive tradition. We train our sons to be warriors, but we train our daughters to be leaders.
And I'm like, okay, what does that mean materially? Because I don't see Victoria Argent instructing y'all on what to do. It seems like Chris is running things in season 1 and Gerard is running things in season 2.
I guess Victoria married into it, and Gerard, I guess his wife is dead because he sucks and she died of disappointment.
She died of disappointment. I guess, yeah, you have to be born into it. I will say Victoria gets a bit more than a character like her would get typically in the story. There's a moment she walks into a meeting with Chris and Kate, and she's like, you find them and you kill them. Does anyone want a cookie? She's so much fun. I love her. But yes, Allison then gets this whole download and has to like adjust to this reality, but certainly given all the stuff that's been happening this season, it makes a lot more sense. And then from that point to the Promptillion formal dance, I can't remember what curves her and Scott back up, but Scott can't go technically because his grades are so low that coach has banned him from the prom. And then Scott tries to get to her, dances with Danny for a bit, then I think leads her outside and they go into the bus. And I think it must be that the alpha is attacking because I think Scott transforms to protect her somehow. And then she sees that he is a werewolf. And that's the thing that's like, oh shit, what happens now? And also, you've been lying to me this whole time. So, you know, towards the end of season 1, because Kate ultimately then becomes the big villain of this season, other than the alpha, who turns out to be Peter Hale. Because of all the beef between the Argents and the Hales. Ooh, the chronology is tough with this one because there's so many, like, retellings of the history as the show goes on that you start to lose track of, wait, what's real and what's not. Kate tells Derek the Argents weren't the one who killed his sister.
I think Laura is alive but missing, I guess, just before the start of the story. And then she is the dead body in the woods that Stiles and Scott find.
Found bisected.
Derek had come back to town to look for her.
Spiral.
Yeah.
Kate reveals that she was found with like claw marks. That's what killed her. So it's the alpha that did it. And then it's revealed that the alpha is Peter Hale, Derek's uncle, who to this point has been believed to be catatonic in the hospital. Is that Icon House that he's in? I assume not.
No, I think it's just the hospital, yeah.
And so Peter killed Laura, presumably because he wanted to be alpha.
Yeah, his own niece.
And that was that.
The house fire is years ago because in the pilot episode, Stiles tells Scott, he's like, oh, that's Derek Hale. Remember, he was only a few years older than us. His family died in that big fire 6 years ago. So I think the fire had killed all the Hales except Peter, who was pretending to be injured and catatonic. And as season 1 was being written, Derek and Laura. Later on, we learned that Cora has now been retconned.
Cora, you know. We said her name, but you thought we were saying Laura. Don't worry about it. Oh, but the fire was the Argents because
yes, it was.
This is where I was so surprised. The chemistry teacher was involved with Kate and gave her like names of the Hale family. And that's when she did the house fire shit. So Kate's the one who did the house fire.
Yes, which was
day.
against the
How
code because
old
we
was
we don't hurt kids.
Right.
I guess.
We also
which I guess makes them better than the witch hunters in Chance Harbor.
The witch hunters don't give a shit. But yeah, in that revelation that like Kate burned Peter at some point, then comes back and kills Kate. Because I guess
it's what she deserves.
It was still his family, even though he's the big bad right now.
Peter is like, no one gets to kill my family members except me.
Right, exactly. No one gets to kill my family but me. And then I believe Derek then kills Peter.
Yes.
Because that's how he
becomes the alpha.
Right.
Going into season 2.
Allison is in the fight against Peter at the end. And then Derek's the one to finally kill him. And that's the moment where it's like, okay, I'm in this now. It's unavoidable. My family's tied into this mess. So here we are. And ultimately, Scott, you were a trifling fool, but clearly it was to keep me out of this. So I guess it's okay that you lied to me this whole time. Kissy, kissy, I love you. That's kind of how it ends in season 1 for her. And season 2 is the season where she is now fully in the fray of the supernatural. Season 2 is a lot of her trying to like adapt to this world now of the supernatural. And like you say, because of the werewolf code and because of what is expected of her as a hunter, she's now stuck between two sides because she's dating a werewolf, even though she's explicitly been instructed not to by her parents. She and Scott are sneaking around. She is also a werewolf hunter. It's a very Romeo Juliet star-crossed lovers thing going on. How tragic. That is when Grandpa Gerard shows up. And if Kate didn't follow the code, Gerard goose-stepped all over it. Because Gerard says, I don't give a shit. There's no such thing as a good werewolf. They will all die, and I'll kill them first. And in his actions this season, he says it's because they've killed Kate. He is throwing the code away for revenge. But we know that man will throw it away for any good reason.
The difference between how Gerard and Kate break the rules is so interesting to me because Kate is almost like if being a hunter was a religion, Kate is like, she's like fanatical. She's like to the extreme where she's like, no, I don't think we're actually dogmatic enough. I think we can take it further. Whereas Gerard is like, no, I'm fully a hypocrite. I sin and then I go to church and I lead the congregation and I tell them not to be sinners.
Precisely. Shows up in the show, chops a werewolf in half for vibes, just to send a message. A man completely unrelated to the ongoings of the season is just like, let this be a warning to any werewolf within a 20-mile radius. I'm in town now. It's like, Jesus.
And he's like, yeah, I'm doing this because they killed my beloved daughter. Then you find out that's not really the motivation behind his presence in town.
It's not at all why he's here. It's flat out lie. But Allison mentions that she's not close with her grandfather. She barely remembers him from when she was like much younger. It's such an awful kerfuffle that happens. It's a little bit stupid too, but the order of events is because Scott and Allison aren't meant to be together because Scott is a werewolf and the Argents are like, okay, we won't kill you for nothing, but if you date our daughter, then we're gonna have trouble. A few episodes into season 2, Victoria starts to suspect that Scott is seeing Allison behind her back. And so she cuts herself with a kitchen knife so that she can go into the urgent care at the hospital because she knows that's where Mrs. McCall works.
Victoria was actually kind of insane. I love her.
She was so sinister. This is the season where she gets to shine. And so she very subtly, through some social engineering, gets Melissa to confess that she thinks they are still, going steady. Good old Scott and Allison. And Victoria is like, I oughta. And then she does order. She kidnaps Scott and tortures him for dating her daughter and is gonna kill him. Straight up. When Derek has to come in and intervene, and there's a kerfuffle and a fight in which Derek, I can't remember if he bites or claws Victoria, but one part of him that can turn someone into a werewolf catches Victoria's flesh.
I think it's a bite because it's only much later when a certain someone is retconned back to life that the question is asked, can a scratch turn someone into a werewolf? And someone's like, I guess if the claws go deep enough.
And then she came back growling her were-jaguar growl. Oh my God. So he bites Victoria in trying to save Scott. And then Victoria goes home with this bite mark to her husband, Chris, and is like, oh my gosh, the code. I couldn't possibly become a werewolf. I must die. but I won't let kill me before the moon gets me. It happens to be a full moon tonight. Don't worry about it. And so Chris and her hold this knife and stab it into her belly, and she commits ritual sacrifice so that she never turns into a werewolf. It's very sad.
It's very
but
sad.
But also it is like...
It's so unnecessary. And in that moment, you're like, this is what fanaticism does, because you truly think you have to do this.
Precisely.
If you had given Scott a chance to show you who he is, you'd realize that being a werewolf doesn't mean you are inherently evil. Like, yes, there's a learning curve.
But you can figure it out.
Yeah, it's not like eternal damnation. You are a mother. She's a mother. You don't even want to stay alive for the sake of your child.
Behind. Because she can't possibly allow herself to become this thing that they are forced to. You said it. She married into this family. And she's so dedicated to this code that she married into that she is killing herself and leaving her child behind because she can't be this thing. It's crazy.
Wow. I mean, she might be from another werewolf family, perhaps, or she's like from one of the low rank. She's a foot soldier.
States. Yeah, exactly.
Elijah's just a foot soldier.
She's a straight.
So maybe she was also raised in this, but it's like she very much Bull Forbes it. Except unlike Bull Forbes, she doesn't have the decency to go to her child and be like, listen, I am gonna let myself die, but let me explain why I feel this way. I know it's crazy, but hear me out. I don't think I can live this way, and I'm choosing to die. She's like, no, just after I'm dead, tell our child there was an accident or something, and now she's lost her mother forever. Bye.
Which is the big mistake, because it leaves the gap for Gerard to come in and say, it's Derek who killed your mother, and points a grieving, traumatized Allison who's just lost her mother. This is the key detail of this arc in season 2, is that her mother's been killed, and her grandfather takes her and points her like a weapon at one of his enemies, Derek Hale. And that's when we go into his arc. Oh, forgot to mention this is the thing that's I was like, the Teen Wolf thing is not going to be easy to like track linearly, because so often there are things happening so far from the main story. The main story is the Kanima. There's a Kanima out and about.
Yes.
Everybody's like, there's something that's killing people and it's reptilian and it has a paralytic and we don't know what it is. It's a shapeshifter, but it's wrong. It's an abomination. And so that's what everyone's trying to figure out right now. And in the midst of that, Allison starts gunning for anyone with a shapeshifter gene because she's been radicalized to the worst parts of the Hunter Code. She starts carrying these Chinese ring daggers that look, unfortunately, really cool. They eat. As she's slicing and dicing into Derek Hale, she looks cool as hell. I'm not sorry to say it, Derek's fine. Frankly, Derek in this era is grooming a number of teenagers and turning him to werewolves. I think he needs a little slicing and dicing.
This is just the season of grooming. Allison is groomed by Gerard. Derek is grooming loner teens to build himself a little private army.
Right.
The Kanima is groomed as well.
The Kanima is groomed. The villain of the piece is being groomed. Gosh, that's so crazy. And she really spends like the back half of this season in this like furor, this like one-track minded revenge for her mother's death towards Derek, and it puts her at odds with Scott. Which she's frankly like, I'm going for Derek. I don't care what your connection is to that man. Stay out of my way. Very tough. And it starts to frighten her father, who's like, I don't like that my wife's death is being used in this way. This is crazy, and this is not how we do things. Which, like, watching your daughter become so consumed by that emotion and having to be, like, straightforward, like, I need to still run the show.
I was just thinking now, because Allison is a female character, and her mother's death then becomes about her, is this not an example of fridging, or is it still fridging?
I would say it's not an example of fridging.
Okay.
Because Victoria, so fridging explicitly, like this is the same thing with like the Bechdel test, for example, where it's like tracking a pattern rather than being prescriptive of text, because it's like the whole point of the Bechdel test was that like it's such an easy text to pass, and yet so much media does not pass it. Same with fridging. It's like, gosh, it's crazy how disproportionately women are being brutalized and killed for the furthering of male characters and their stories, and then sort of like thrown away respectively. But like in season 2, Victoria has quite a bit of agency, and in fact it is the season where she gets a lot of agency, where she becomes like a more three-dimensional character, and you see her get up to some crazy shit, and then in getting clawed, like we said, no reason for her to die. She chooses to die in this moment when she could very easily have just been like, you know what? I'll just be a werewolf and then I'll exile myself from the clan. I'll become a Ronin of the hunters. It works enough in story. It helps that it's not a male character. It helps that she had like prominence in the season, and it helps that it wasn't like brutal. She gets bitten and then she stabs herself, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the one I always point to in modern history is, it happens twice in The Boys, is Robin and Becca.
Yeah.
Who are the driving force of Billy Butcher and Huey's like whole shit. Becca, it happens to Becca twice, which is crazy. They fridge her like she is retroactively fridged or retrospectively fridged, and then she returns to the story and becomes a like prominent figure with like thoughts and like complexities and desires. And then right at the end of the season they said, and we're fridging her again. She's gonna get lasered by her own son, and she's fridged on behalf of Billy and now her son. It's so crazy. Imagine getting fridged for an 8-year-old boy. I'd kill everyone and then myself.
Well, I mean, you'd be fridged, so you wouldn't be able to kill yourself.
Yeah, fair point. Oh yeah, this is also when she really messes Isaac up to slicing and dicing. She's really slicing and dicing this season.
And honestly, a season where it's easy to gun for Derek, because Derek is being very annoying this season. And it's sort of like Scott is now being tugged in two directions, because Scott doesn't want to consider Derek an enemy, but Derek has decided, I'm building my pack and we're like a rival to you and your friends now. Yeah. And Addison's like, see, Derek needs to die. And Scott's like, well, I can't really defend Derek right now because it's not looking good.
He's doing some crazy shit. He scooped up these outlawed teens. He got the abused kid, the epileptic kid, and I guess the fat kid. What is Boyd's thing that like has him on the outside of things?
I think Boyd is just a loner. He just doesn't have friends.
Okay.
He was like, I became a werewolf because I had nothing else going on.
He's definitely wearing like a fat suit of some kind, and then when he becomes a werewolf, he's jacked. And I was just like, that's okay.
I didn't remember that. I just remembered that he was like just like no friends, and I was like, really? Did the writers run out of things to give these kids? Like, he's a loner, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's other loners in the school. Then Derek's pack should be bigger.
It should be a lot bigger. Like, why are these people? He was like, with your size and genetic makeup, I could be a beast.
Oh no!
Unfortunately.
Not Get Out.
As the Kanema thing shakes out, because obviously, oh yes, right. So with the Kanema thing, right, slowly but surely we get drip feeding lore about the Kanema. It's someone who was going through a werewolf transformation, but it went bad. At some point someone says it's a reflection of who you are inside, and so then at some point it comes out that Jackson is the Kanema. Oh, she's the one to go speak to Maren Morrill about it, who is Deaton's sister. At least we don't know that in season 2. I don't think we only find that out in the next season. She wants a translation from the bestiary that the Argents have, because the Kanema is in the bestiary that they own, but it's in French. And so Marin's like, my French is a bit rusty, I'll try my best. But it seems like the Kanema seeks a friend, and then Lydia is the one to translate it afterwards, in a moment where Lydia is still not like fully aware of the supernatural, but she's like, oh, that doesn't say the Kanema needs a friend, it says the Kanema seeks a master. And so they realize that someone is like instructing the Kanema. The Kanema isn't like villaining about of its own free will. That's when Matt comes into focus, this weird photographer kid who has been like cozying up to Allison a little bit, and as it turns out, stalking her, right? Am I remembering that right? He like has a bunch of pictures of Allison?
I think so. And I don't know where this trope of like teenage boys who are into photography need to be creepy stalkers came from.
Oh, because it's Stranger Things.
We saw it again years later in the cursed show 13 Reasons Why.
Right, because Tyler's a photographer.
Yeah.
And Jonathan, before they decide he's normal, is a photographer in Stranger Things. Though, to be fair, they were trying to do a quote-unquote nuanced thing with Jonathan, where it's like, well, he's a loner, and he loves his little brother who's missing, and he's in a weird time. But it's like, Jonathan, why are you creeping on those girls while they're naked in their rooms? Like, we can't really square that circle.
Like, just be a normal photographer, like Peter Parker, who I guess commits fraud every day, but it's okay.
Where are my fraudulent photographers? Why are they all sex pests? But it eventually comes out that Matt is the master of the Kanema because of some poolside trauma that we won't get into at the moment. After he is slaughtered, Gerard Argent takes over the Canema.
Which, thank goodness, because
so-
Matt did not feel all that consequential. And I was like, the reveal of the Canema's master to be some character that didn't exist before this season, I was like, oh, and it's a high school. I was like, okay.
I do find it funny that they do introduce him in the season as someone who's always been here, because Danny knows him and Jackson knows him, and it's only like the people who are newer to that social circle who are slowly becoming aware of him. So it is nice at least that they were like, he appears enough in this season that he's a guy who could have been there to do it, but he is a new character. But after Gerard takes the Canema, he starts using it to achieve his actual goals. As you said, Fadzai, he is dying of cancer, and he wants to strong arm a werewolf into giving him the bite so that he can survive, because werewolves can kind of heal from anything.
Because like all bigots, it's rules for thee and not for me. The minute it's like all those politicians and it's this, I say all because it's happened more than once. Those politicians in America who are like, oh, I'm gonna devote myself to all this anti-abortion legislation because there's no situation in which a woman has the right to choose what to do with her body, and then it comes out that, well, this person had a mistress who he knocked up and then he pressured her to get an abortion. It's like, oh, so when you feel like abortion is on the table
Then
as
all
a
of a
man
sudden-
who is cheating on your wife, then
all
it's
of a
okay.
Interesting. As we know, werewolves, because Scott, who was an asthmatic, is cured of his asthma when he becomes a werewolf and cannot get drunk. So the regenerative properties of werewolves are pretty useful when it comes to that. So Gerard has the reveal. I believe at some point he has Allison and Scott and Derek in one room, and he uses the Canema to threaten Allison to get one of them to bite him. And that's the like breaking point of like, oh, so one, you were grooming me this whole time because you lied about what you wanted. And two, you are willing to sacrifice me if it gets you what you want, which is crazy.
I always remember Gerard saying, when he eventually confronts Chris Argent, his child, his only surviving child, he's like, when it comes to survival, I would kill my own son.
He says to his own son. Thankfully, due to some trickery on Scott's part, nobody gives Scott enough credit for being a little crafty, because Derek does give him the bite, acquiesces to this, and it's also because they have the hunters chasing after Boyd and Erica out in the bundu somewhere. They like run off into the sunset at the end of the season.
For those of you who aren't Southern African.
I think they have that in America. They call it the boonies.
Yeah, but they don't use they
boondocks?
don't use the word bundu specifically. I was like, in case anyone's not
can
from here,
figure
gets a
it
little lost. The sticks.
The sticks. So because of that, Derek gives him the bite, but Scott has switched out Gerard's cancer medication for some mountain ash. Yes. So the bite doesn't take, and he starts coughing up all this black stuff, and he's foiled. I believe at the end of that, Allison is like, well, shit. Looks like I've been on a crazy track over here, and my grandfather was the one pushing me along it. Now I've got to reckon with all the stuff that I've done in this season. And she tells Scott, sorry about all that shit. I don't know if I can keep dating you given that I'm feeling very guilty about all the stuff that's gone on. Scott's like, hey girl, no worries. I can wait. I'm sure we'll find each other again. And so at the end of season 2 and going into season 3, Scott and Allison are broken up, which is not the way I'd remembered it. I thought they broke up between 3A and 3B for some reason. But yeah. And then into season 3, where it's like, well, they're still in love, clearly. But now we're navigating a world in which we are friends and part of this pack, Scott's pack, facing supernatural threats despite the like lingering feelings. It's early in season 3 because she's still cold on Derek because Derek was involved in her mother's death, and Derek has been keeping mum, bless him, because of Scott, for Scott's sake. But at a really pivotal point, he then confronts her and forces Scott to tell the truth about what's happened. And Scott has to tell Allison, so it didn't happen exactly like your grandfather made it seem. Victoria was actually torturing and trying to kill me, and Derek was saving me, and that's how she got bitten. And Allison has to be like, oh, come on, man. Like, now I've got to roll all the way back. I've hated this guy for 6 months now. Very unfortunate situation. But before and during and around that, she is helping protect Derek's pack from the new threat in town, which, if I remember, sort of starts in media res. The sort of thing that's happening with Boyd and Cora, because Isaac remains in town, Boyd and Cora run into the sunset, and then immediately get snatched up by this mysterious pack that has shown up in town.
Boyd and Erica run off into the sunset.
What did I say?
And then you said Boyd and Cora.
Boyd and Erica. Wait, where does Cora fit in? Because Cora's also here.
Cora is introduced, I guess, after we learn that Erica has bitten it.
She was also being kept in that bank vault.
Yes, they like find her corpse. It's so sad. I can't remember if that's before or after Boyd dies.
So they're both being kept together. This is in the early season 3 arc. There's that supermoon situation happening where Boyd and Erica have been kept in the bank vault for 3 months. And so they've not been able... This is the craziest world-building thing, because apparently the moonlight has to touch you as a werewolf for you to transform.
Nonsense.
So because they've been in a subterranean bank vault, they haven't been transforming.
Nonsense, because we will see the moon's presence affect werewolves in the show when they're not outside. So I guess if you're really deep underground, if the lunar radiation is reaching you,
it can't penetrate an inch thickness of earth, unfortunately. In those flashbacks, Erica's like, Boyd, we can take him, I'm telling you. And she tries to fight and she gets killed, I think by Kali. Miss Gripper's out, dog slicing.
I forgot.
The tallest and most cutthroat.
She's just fully got her dogs out the whole time.
Dogs out the whole show. I don't know whose fetish it was, because it can't have been Jeff Davis. But someone in that writer's room said, and one of the alphas, who's a woman, and I think she's the only one in that pack, is gonna have her dogs out at all times.
She's always walking, just like clicking her toe claws.
Disgusting. My goodness. I hope she brushes them things.
Oh, gosh.
Anyway, Erica dead. Boyd survives. And then it's him and Cora now who are the pair who are like technically part of Derek's pack. But Allison is helping protect them. This is also around the time that she sort of reconciles with Isaac about what she did to him in season 2. Because again, she's now helping protect the werewolves from the other werewolves who've come to town. Yeah, this would have to be when that scene with Isaac is, where she hotwires Aiden's bike. Because the Alpha Pack is in town, it's Deucalion, it's Kali with the dogs out, it's the Absorbing Man from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes.
It's Ethan and Aiden, the twins. So this must be the season where her and Isaac start to get closer somewhat, because I know at the end of 3A, because the whole deal is that the Alpha Pack is coming to do Alpha Pack shit, but also the Darok is sacrificing people. We remember, if you were there, the 5 groups.
It was virgins, healers, warriors, guardians, and philosophers.
And that's when the chemistry teacher bites in, because he's a philosopher. That's when the parents all get rounded up, because they immediately think guardian means like police officer, fireman, like that sort of thing. Funny enough, this is when Jordan Parrish is introduced as a deputy.
I felt like I was being gaslit, because when they said guardian, I was like, yeah, obviously those are your parents. And then they were like, oh, we're looking for like protectors of the community. And I was like, oh, okay. I would have thought like, like, have you never gotten a notice from school that's like parent
or guardian of my child or
please
ward.
Note that yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, this is that nuclear family mindset. That's why. But yeah, in order to... Actually, that's crazy. I forget what they were trying to do with the drowning. Was it to access the Nemeton?
They were sacrificing
that
themselves,
the Darok had hidden
I guess,
them?
temporarily.
Because the 4 sacrifices had already happened. Their appearance was the 5th one, and it was Melissa McCall, it was Chris Argent, and it was Sheriff Stilinski. Noah Stilinski. And they were under the tree, and then Allison, Scott, and Styles get temporarily sacrificed so they can go down into the Nemeton and go through that abstract like hallway and then come out the other side and find their location.
And then they crack open the tree stump, and that leads into 3B.
Yeah. But Deaton, who of course at this point is like the emissary for Scott's pack, is the one who's going to facilitate this process and tells them, well, firstly, if you do this, it's going to crack open a door in your mind and there's always going to be a darkness around your heart or whatever. And also he says, so that you actually survive the process, you need somebody to anchor you in the real world, someone who has a close personal connection to you. It's first awkward because like Scott and Allison are both going, so they can't really anchor each other. But then Isaac comes in to anchor Allison and it's like, oh, this is... Because I think that's the first point that Scott becomes aware that there's something going on there. And then, of course, Lydia, who is in the supernatural at this point, full banshee, anchors Styles, which we'll get into that someday in either a Styles episode or a Lydia episode, because I have opinions. And then Deaton is the one who anchors Scott. They go into this strange drowning mirror world. And I think in there she sees Kate. And it's this confrontation of like who she has become in the face of like the Argent name and the Argent legacy.
Now imagine...
Because Kate has become like representative.
Imagine how confused I was, because I think this was the first episode I ever saw.
Right, because you wouldn't even know who Kate was.
These were my first scenes of Teen Wolf, and I was like, what is going on? We are in some abstract... We're in the white hot room for some reason.
It's the Teen Wolf white hot room. That's the thing that really fascinates me about Teen Wolf, is how metaphysical it becomes. And honestly, how metaphysical it is from day one, because like in season 1, there's a lot of psychic stuff happening in the connection between the alpha and the beta, because Scott is having these dreams that I guess Peter is just beaming into his mind, inviting him to come kill with him. And then in season 2, Peter, who's dead, his spirit that's, I guess, lingering in the mind space, comes to Lydia, who has a low-level psychic ability, because we're discovering she's something supernatural. And because his claws unlocked her power, which is a very, like, gross but interesting plot beat between Peter and Lydia, in a very, like assaulty kind of way that could become, like, it could be tasteless if handled the wrong way, but I think there's enough there that they do with the Lydia Peter storyline that's like, it feels bad and it should feel bad. And there's a question of like, as he insists, should she attribute this power to him? And I think the ultimate thing is, no, she shouldn't. Screw that guy, he sucks. Your power is your own, girly pop. But anyway, like, he is like coming to her as a spirit and is like, spike the punch at your party, have everyone high on wolfsbane so they start hallucinating. Do you remember that? When it's like a young version of Peter just hopping around.
I had forgotten about that. Also, how many times do we see young Peter in this show? Gosh, because we see more of him in like some Derek-centric flashbacks.
Yeah, when Derek is a young Toodle Pip and his uncle's like a late teen or whatever, and he's like, it's that episode where Peter and Gerard from different sides of the episode are both telling an unreliable narration of the situation that happened. But, what was I saying? Oh yeah, just that like Teen Wolf is always like a little heady, a little metaphysical, and this is like the quintessence of it when they go down into this Nematon, this tree of sacrifice and of power, a beacon in Beacon Hills. But yeah, the three of them go through this drowning and they find where their parents are and they're able to go and save them. It's this chamber, this cellar that goes underneath the ground and ends up beneath in the roots of the Nematon. Through that, they find them and they're able to find the Darok and defeat her. But it's ultimately Derek. Yeah, it's Derek who kills her. Well, he thinks. And then Peter swoops in at the end and says, I am the Alpha and I've always been the Alpha.
Again, I was so confused. I was like, what's happening? Who is this?
That's so crazy. That's so crazy.
So I guess for all the judgment I gave you for how I think you came in at the tail end of season 2 of Vampire Diaries.
Of Vampire Diaries, yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
And I was like, Soon Niklaus, what did I miss? Who's this guy? He's cool as hell, but I don't know him.
I was at the end of 3A, which feels like the end of a season. And I was just like, I don't know who this grotesque white-skinned thing is or why she's being slaughtered by a man who's saying he's the Alpha and he's always been the Alpha.
Crazy too, because he's just been resurrected. How does Peter resurrect again?
I don't recall.
It's through the Kanama somehow, where he engineers his own resurrection. But anyway, because then him and Derek come at the end and they both stab Jackson from either side, which is a metaphor. And then they bring him back to himself. But yeah, there's that cool end scene at the end of 3A where Scott, Allison, and Styles are walking down the hallway. They're each respectively coming into the school from different sides and they're all a little bit off. they can feel that, like, the Deaton's narrating being like, there's something that's always going to be a little off, some darkness that waits in the corner. But focus on your friends and your family. That's what will keep you okay. Don't worry about it. And then it's like the Scott and Styles, like, shoulder to shoulder. It's Allison with Lydia, I presume. And then they go on with their day. And that's 3A going into 3B, which is, of course, the best part of Teen Wolf, the Kitsune era. Simultaneously, she and Isaac start to become more hot and heavy, shall we say, and Kira's introduced, who Scott is bewitched by, so to speak. But because of that ritual, that sacrifice that they did, she's now hallucinating. And she also starts to struggle doing her hunter shit. When she picks up a bow, she starts shaking and she can't make the right shot. And she starts, like, seeing Kate everywhere. And I think she starts shooting at people who aren't real. And then she starts shooting at people who are real because she thinks it's Kate. It's all rough. Oh, there's also... her dad is like, you have to carve a bullet because we all carve a bullet. And that's what shows that we're a hunter of the Argent family. And she's like, I don't use bullets. What if I carved an arrowhead? And Chris Sargent's like, you have passed the test, my daughter. This is beautiful. So she carves that little arrowhead with the symbol and is like, hey, you know what, Dad? We've been through some crazy shit and we've come out of the other side with a lot more nuanced of a worldview than maybe our predecessors had. Maybe we change this code that clearly isn't serving us anymore. Because what is the original Argent code? Kill werewolves, essentially.
Was it we hunt
we
those
hunt
who hunt
those
us?
who something
Something like that?
We hunt
those who hunt us.
Yes.
The presumption being that all these supernaturals will hunt us, and they do, and that's why
exactly.
we hunt them.
And that's why it's okay for us to kill them en masse. And Allison's like, how about we protect those who can't protect themselves? Chris Argent is like, yes, my daughter, we are woke now. We love this. Season 3, nobody can tell us we have a bloody and sordid history. We've changed, like the Mormon church. So
It's 1994 South Africa. A new day is dawning.
But yeah, this is also the era of Malia coming in, which is a whole weird story we'll get to someday. This is also when, because it's the Kitsune era, there's Kira, obviously, who we learn is a Kitsune, and who she learns is a Kitsune, Kira does. There is a no Kitsune, which is a dark Kitsune, that is the villain of the piece this season, that is out and about doing some weird shit to the supernaturals, making weird 5 symbols on their necks, running around with these shadow samurai that are Oni, which I think is Japanese for demon. And they're just out here slashing and bashing and fighting people, seemingly for no good reason. But there's that party. That's the Blacklight party. The one where the girlie whose girlfriend was killed because she was a virgin, she's at that party and she kisses Styles. That's how he finds out she's bisexual. And people are all like, that's the moment where Styles realized he's bisexual. And it's like, I don't know about that, but okay. But at that party, she dances with Isaac. And it's like, ooh, things are feeling good. They start making out. That's the one where he gets marked. They think the Oni are working for the Kitsune, marking people with that letter. But it turns out to be Kira's mom, who by marking them is ensuring that they are in fact themselves and not possessed by the Kitsune, because that is the symbol for self.
Yes.
Oh, this season's so good. I'm just live in real time remembering how good it was.
They were like, what's this backwards 5? And then they were like, it's the Japanese kanji for self. It's not a 5 at all.
It's so good. They were like, are there 5 people that it's counting? Like, what's happening? But yeah, that's pretty cool. There's some like Argent historical stuff where she has to ask her dad about this Yakuza guy he used to defend, played by Kerihiro Yuki. What is his name? He's like a famous... He played... not Shang Tsung. I think he played Shao Kahn. No, he played Shang Tsung. Kerihiro Yuki Tagawa, who recently passed away. He's a legendary Japanese actor. He plays a guy called Silverfinger in Teen Wolf, which is like a mildly like, why is every Japanese character the Yakuza? They couldn't just be some regular old people, but okay.
They were like, it's a Japanese theme this season, so we're going all in.
Every trope, every situation.
Wolverine, you would have loved it. Wolverine the weeb.
You would have been in your element, buddy. But yeah, that's some like Argent lore that we get. at some point she like kind of collapses from the stress of the season, where it's like, hey man, this is still a teenage girl at the end of the day. She's trying her best. What was the scenario that you were describing? Because I do remember that when one of them gets the fly in their ear and is like possessed, and it's like, oh, was this sexual moment maybe in a bad way looking back? Like, what was happening there?
It was an episode, I think, where several people had the flies in them. But I remember that Allison, during that episode, hooks up with Isaac, and I believe it's their first time with each other. But then later on, when like they have a discussion about it, because I guess the writers decided they knew, where certain storylines were heading, which we'll get to at the end of the season, they were like, okay, now we have to make sure that everyone knows that this was consensual and this was her. But I was like, but how? Because it didn't seem like you were all there. The evil fly was like, I'm respectful. I will temporarily switch off my influence while you get hot and heavy with your boyfriend, and I'll come back when you're done.
Oh boy. But yeah, just generally in this season, it's mostly her being a badass. It's her like fighting off supernatural threats. It's her using her arrows to be very cool.
Yeah, she's the one who finds out about the silver, which weirdly, up until this point in the show, silver against the werewolves hadn't been a huge thing. It was more symbolic that like, oh, we are the Argents. Our surname is Silver.
Yes.
Ha, 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 ha.
Silver doesn't actually harm werewolves. That it's usually wolf's bane. That's the thing that like harms werewolves.
When a werewolf is wounded by silver, it heals.
But it is interesting that it's just because they use silver weapons that she's like, now hang on a second. It puts them in the unique position to figure this shit out, and it explains why these creatures have seemed so insurmountable until then. Because and even the logic of like the guns versus the bow, which we were talking about earlier, that like when they've shot these Oni, because Argent back in the days of Silverfinger in the Yakuza, that whole flashback story was about how they encountered the Oni for the first time, because Chris recognized them. He was like, our bullets did nothing to them. And in that final fight, that fateful fight, after the Nokitsune turns the Oni away from Kira's mother and starts using them as henchmen, she shoots one with an arrow to save Isaac, I believe, or Lydia. No, Lydia's all the way across the world when this happens. I remember because she's running through a tunnel and she screams Allison, and then Allison dies, or screams Allison just after she's died. Anyway, she does save Isaac, and it kills the Oni, and everyone's surprised because they haven't been able to kill one so far. And then another Oni comes up behind her and stabs her with a sword, and you, for a second, are like, okay, well, we'll figure this out. I guess this is where we realize werewolf blood can heal people. So Scott's about to bite his wrist open and feed Allison his werewolf blood, and she'll heal. And then it's like, no, she's dying.
It was
then
so sad.
Lydia screams her banshee scream, which is the kiss of death in this show. And it's this heart-wrenching scream. I remember it so vividly.
At this point, Scott is an alpha, a true alpha, because he earned it in 3A.
Yes, his true alpha status.
So he has the power to like empathically take physical pain away from people with his touch and take it into himself.
Yeah.
And he rushes to Allison, because I guess this needs to be their moment. Isaac is just hanging awkwardly in the background, as we've discussed many times.
Sucks to suck, my guy. Sorry.
Scott is holding her, and he's like, I can't take your pain away. And then she's like, that's because it doesn't hurt. And I was like, oh no, that's not a good sign. That's so bad. And then she's like, it's okay, Scott, it's okay. I'm in the arms of my first love, the boy I'll always love. And I was like, Isaac is standing right there.
Sorry, buddy. I guess you have your answer. She's like, I'll always love you, and don't forget to tell my dad. And then I don't think she says what they were meant to tell her dad. She dies before she can say it. But later on, Isaac does put it together. Kudos for him. That bullets go through the Oni, but because of Allison's arrow, which stayed in the Oni's body, it poisoned it enough to kill it. So they have to use arrows. And she had made a bunch of those silver arrowheads, and that's what they used to defeat the Oni ultimately. She had made enough for the number of Oni that were left.
Truly, her Hermioneing in this season, just like pipes.
That was her scrunched up paper in the hand of pipes. I do think that like throughout her 3-season run, you don't see it prominently because there are other characters who are presented as the smarties of the group. It's Lydia and it's Styles who are typically the brains. But Allison was so good at like enacting plans and setting traps. If ever there was a situation where it's like members of Scott's pack, but Scott isn't there, who by far is their strongest like contender because he has physical strength, he has agility, he can take on werewolves. It'll always be like Allison and Lydia, or Allison and Scott, or one of the weaker beta werewolves. And she will organize a trap to like get the stronger, like the alpha wolves, she could dance circles around them. The Oni, she's the one to figure out how to kill them. Like, she had a great head on her shoulders and she was so good at strategy. It's in her that you see that thing of like, yeah, this is why she would make a great matriarch of the family if she got to survive beyond 18. Oh, my poor dear.
And it's nice that as the token huntress of the team, she's the one who brings in all of that information. And as much as her dad is still there as the mentor figure, she serves the story in a way that, for instance, the person I called her counterpart in Mystic Falls, Jeremy, doesn't often get to, because Jeremy is more a weapon than like an information broker. Like, he doesn't really come with like, oh, I've learned this.
He doesn't have connections.
He's just like, I am a hunter now. It's usually Alaric who's coming with like the info. It's like, oh, my research has shown, because, you know, I studied this and my ex-wife studied this. And Allison's the one who's like, okay, so I was reading through my family history.
I was reading
and
through the
actually,
bestiary.
I found out stuff that the rest of y'all wouldn't know, because Styles is just like the budding detective because he's the son of a cop. Lydia is just like a genius, so she's just really smart. But she's like, but I have the actual tools, I have the bestiary, I have this heritage that is going to help us in a way that the rest of you can't.
And I have common sense intelligence to use that to our benefit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I really like about it.
It's great. That's why I said it's so nice seeing, like, as much as being a werewolf is like a metaphor for Scott growing up, like on the other side of it, you have her like becoming a huntress, and it's like her growing up, learning about her heritage, re-examining her family's history and being like, so actually,
we gotta clean this shit
problematic. How can we shift this?
You guys were actually
How
giving
can we be better?
Bigot. It was giving not woke enough. We can't in 2012 be talking about we hunt those who hunt us. What kind of manifest destiny Reagan era bullshit? Get out of my face. I will be the liberal wave of the hunters.
You know?
And it's unfortunate that because Allison only dies this season because the actress chose to leave the show and pursue other opportunities, as actors often do. And I think she might have requested for the character to die. No, I'm remembering that incorrectly.
Is it?
Because Isaac also leaves the show at this point, but he requests his character not to be killed off. I think that's what it was.
Okay.
I don't know if like what Skinny was on why Allison dies rather than... I guess it wouldn't make a lot of sense for her to just suddenly leave.
Yeah.
Unlike Isaac, where it's like, well, he didn't have all that many good memories in this town anyway, and he doesn't have that many connections, so he heads out.
And Ethan, who survives the season, unlike Aiden, also ends up leaving because he's not from this town.
Right.
Who were they living with while they were here? Because they were fully enrolled at the school. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
It was
It's
giving
fine.
emancipated teen. It's fine. Like, they were living in a weird house on the side. Nobody's asking questions. It's really a shame because she's definitely a character you could easily see like making it to the end of the show, being like a prominent figure. Like, there's no reason she shouldn't have lasted the whole time if the actor was still good with the show.
As a person who has watched a lot of, but not all of, Grey's Anatomy, because Grey's Anatomy, Lord knows, that show is gonna keep going until the sun burns out. Many characters have been killed off on that show because there are just certain storylines and certain characterizations where it doesn't make sense for someone to just up and leave this community that they're a part of. And it's like, the only way to get rid of you is for you to
married
die.
with children with like mortgages. You have to die. Yeah, her unfortunate passing at the end of season 3. She's mentioned a couple of times naturally throughout the back half of the show. I know there's a really lovely moment in the first episode of season 4 because that's when they become seniors.
Oh yeah, senior
when they're
year.
doing the senior scroll or whatever it's called. And Scott writes Allison's name in for her because she wasn't there to do it herself. And it's so sad.
Also, her name is one of the like 3 like encryption keys for the dead to like unlock the 3 parts of the Deadpool lists. It's Allison, it's Aiden, and it's someone else. I can't remember who the other person was because they were like, oh, it's dead people's names.
That's crazy. I thought about whether we should discuss her appearance in the movie, but I don't think so. I want to keep the movie so separate from the show.
Yes.
Like, I don't know how you feel about it.
I feel fine about that. Maybe we'll have a key about the movie itself.
In its own thing.
In its own little thing. Probably going off what we remember, because I doubt we have the strength to watch that again.
I refuse. I refuse to watch that shit again.
Might just read through a plot summary on Wikipedia or something.
I'm gonna watch a Julia Cadney essay.
Oh, yes! Oh, I love her and her love for this show.
Beautiful.
And
beautiful.
I love how much she's loved a lot of things that I've loved, but she will also rip into them.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
13 Reasons Why, it's Gossip Girl, it's Teen Wolf.
That's the space we live in.
It's Bridgerton.
Where it's like, for better or worse, this was a formative part of my youth, and there are parts that I love, but I will denigrate when I am gonna denigrate, because what the hell is this shit? Oh man. But I guess one thing that we were talking about doing was like thinking of like best moments for characters through the show. And I want to make it too many because it's just like, then we're just going through the whole show. But like moments that pop up clearly for me, for Allison. One is in season 2, I believe. And it's when Erica is accosting her. Erica in Werewolf era, where she's like on Derek's behest, I guess, coming to... They're trying to find out who the Kanama is, and everybody thinks it's Lydia because she's cold-blooded and because she's immune to the werewolf bite and to the paralytic. They were like, a snake is immune to its own poison, so they are trying to test her with the paralytic toxin of the Kanama, and it doesn't work on her. And they're like, well, she's the Kanama. We need to kill her. And so Scott, Styles, and Allison are trying to keep that from happening. So Allison in this chemistry classroom has to end up contending with Erica, who's been flirting with Scott the entire time. And then she randomly has a weird bisexual moment, I guess, with her, but it's as threat, so take that as you will. At some point after that encounter, it's like straight up fight, and so she's got her crossbow that she keeps in her book bag. Erica's like, I'm, the pinnacle of supernatural strength. You couldn't take me if you tried. Allison shoots an arrow at her, and Erica catches it out of the air, as werewolves often do in this world. I think, in fact, she got the idea from... I can't remember if it's Scott or Derek who catches an arrow out of the air at some point. But she catches it and is like, thought you'd try that one on me. And Allison smiles. And then Erica locks up and collapses to the ground. And it's because Allison's coated the arrow in the Kanama paralytic. Because she's a genius. She's a strategic mastermind. Said, this girl's been on me all day. Of course she's going to be too hubristic to figure out what I'm doing. Paralyzed. Oh, so good. So good. Other moment, unfortunately, is when she has those ring daggers. I'm sorry, but she eats in that scene. I know it's not great. It's not in her best era. She looks really cool.
We support women's rights and women's wrongs.
And women's wrongs,
know.
frankly. And I think that is something you need to absorb within yourself, listener. If you, at this time, were having a lot to say about Allison's arc, would you feel differently if it was a man? Actually, I think the demographic of the show on average would feel... No, I lie, because Vampire Diaries made me realize how many people are misogynist in this demographic. It's crazy.
I wonder if the decision to give her a bow and arrow was because we were going into the Hunger Games era of it all. But then I guess she had the arrow already in season 1, and that was pre-Hunger Games film.
Yeah, it's set up fairly early.
Yeah.
I think it's just the visual of it. It's just someone with a bow and arrow in a suburban town just is so much more striking than if she just had a gun.
And maybe they didn't want this high school teenage character running around with firearms.
Right, exactly.
It's
a different message.
Yeah, it's a heavy visual, especially when your school is your school is the setting of a lot of the conflicts and
school
America
shooting,
Yeah.
I guess in conclusion, on Allison Argent, she's great. I don't know what else to say. Love her down.
Love her down. One of the best love interests of any story that I've seen. Like, as a character who is, of course, there to be the love interest, I'm like, she grows above and beyond that. She stops being the love interest at a point, and they're just friends, and she's part of the group.
Yeah.
An integral part. Love it for her.
There's that great shot in the theme song when they introduce the theme song to Teen Wolf. It's Scott being it's like Tyler Posey, and then I forget what his action shot is, but then the transition shot is him and Allison kissing, and then Allison pulls away from him and pulls out the bow and shoots an arrow. it's so emblematic of exactly what you're saying, where it's like, oh, love interest, but I'm a badass bitch, don't you cross me. So cool. Because we love the romance, but we also love self-possessed female characters who are involved in the story of their own right.
And I know that you love an archer.
Yes!
So...
I love... If I'm not going to get a mage in a story, give me an archer. Because archers are cool as shit. The skill of marksmanship, the skill of shooting this thin piece of wood from hundreds of yards away and hitting a small dot that you can barely see is very cool to me. That's why I think she's more impressive than the people who carry guns, because she has to hit a specific mark to do the most damage.
And as I mean, I often complain about archers in superhero settings, but in something like this, I'm like, it's fine. If it's like a sword and sorcery or high fantasy setting, I'm fine. And something like this where it's like, yeah, she's a huntress in like a supernatural YA thing, I'm like, yes, that's fine. She's not running around fighting the Chitauri in New York City with trick arrows.
Which Hawkeye did perfectly well because they had vital parts and they could die. I don't see the issue. Yeah, no, that's my that on Allison Argent. She's a great character. If you weren't her biggest fan when you were watching the show, I challenge you to go back, have a look-see, maybe see if you feel differently. Especially in the early 2010s, as far as female characters in this genre go, she's light years ahead. Love her down. But yeah, I guess that's our first episode for season 2.
Whoop, whoop.
But if you have any questions, thoughts, or just want to say hi, you can mail them to animalattackpod@gmail.com. You can also tweet us at animattackpod. That's at ANIM attackpod. You'll find the link tree in our bio that has all our online stuff. We're on Instagram. We're on Blue Sky. We're on YouTube. If that would be easier for you to listen to, you'll be able to find all of that there. But until the next episode, protect those who can't protect themselves, especially in big 2026. Cheers.
Bye.